Welcome back, my friend. Today I'm giving you the kind of hands-on, real-world grooming demo that you'd normally have to pay to see in person. I am Amy Leigh, founder of Go Groomer here on YouTube, and today's video is a big one. You're about to get a front row seat to my complete deshedding process on this beautiful Sheltie, a double-coated breed that's packed full of undercoat right now. We actually purposely postponed her last grooming appointment so that she'd come in with an abundance of coat just for this video, so you could see every step up close in real time and learn exactly how I safely and effectively release that impacted undercoat without using sharp or aggressive tools. I'll walk you through my go-to deshedding tools, explain how they work to preserve the coat's integrity, and show you how to achieve that healthy skin and shiny finish every double-coated dog deserves, especially heading into fall shedding season. But we're not stopping there. I'm also bringing you in close, just like you're standing beside me in my salon. You'll see how I trim the outline, shape the pants, tidy up the feet, and remove those tricky mats behind the ears with a flawless appearance. Everything that sends this girl home looking like a show champion. Whether you're maintaining a show dog for the show ring or grooming your own Sheltie at home and you want your dog to turn heads in the neighborhood, this video is for you. It's basically a free seminar, the kind of detailed hands-on lesson that you would easily pay $200 to attend. And you get VIP access through this camera's lens. And if you groom other double-coated breeds like Pomeranians, Golden Retrievers, Collies, Border Collies, or Bernese Mountain Dogs, what you'll learn here in this lesson can be completely applied to those breeds too. This lesson is a long one, so grab your notepad, settle in, and let's dive deep into this Sheltie's coat, because what you're about to learn is going to change how you handle undercoat forever. Let's get to it. This is Penny, and I can see this undercoat's going to need a little help to get it to release. It's just hanging in her coat. I'm not at all intimidated. I have a lot of experience with this coat type, and I know I can get her to looking like this in a couple of hours. The key to safe deshedding and effective deshedding is tool choice. These are non-sharp tools. This is a rotating teeth comb. It helps to release undercoat. A slicker brush is a must, absolutely. And deshedding rakes, the V-rake, the Sure Grip deshedding rake. These are all non-sharp tools, but they are the most effective because they'll remove the coat that needs to come out. They're not gonna force out good coat, which could definitely compromise the coat if we forced undercoat out, if it wasn't ready to be released. So right now, before I start shampooing her, you can see that I am starting to encourage the undercoat away from the skin. That's very important. It gets packed in there from her sitting and laying on it. It gets packed. It's already shed out. It just needs to come out. Think of it as we're kind of aerating her coat right now before the shampoo. That way the shampoo can get into the skin so it can do its job. However, I'm not going for deshedding tools yet. I will use the slicker brush for the most part of this groom. A firm, flexible slicker brush in the tub, that's important for grabbing the coat without pulling on the skin. See, that's the secret of the slicker brush. After she's dry, I'm going to switch over to my Kenchi slicker brush. And you'll learn why a little further on in this lesson, why I have two slicker brushes that are playing a role in this deshedding video. And don't worry, I will link every single tool, product, piece of equipment that you see me using in the description of this video. I got you covered, my friend. Today we're using the Coat Handler Undercoat Control Deshedding Shampoo and Conditioner. I am also using a Prima Bathing System. I'm a professional groomer. That is the bathing system that I use and have used for years. If you don't use a bathing system, you will take your time shampooing your dog and make sure you get this shampoo all the way into the skin through the coat. Take your time shampooing and conditioning your dog, especially for a deshed. Though my bathing system is saving me time and energy here, I am moving the shampoo all the way through to the skin. I need to be sure that it is getting through to the skin, or this undercoat's never going to come out of the coat. It's sticking in there. We have to clean the coat. I want to point out to you, if you are deshedding a dog without bathing and conditioning, you could never truly deshed your dog. So you may notice a lot of shedding after you use a shedding rake or a slicker brush if you didn't bathe your dog first. I'm here to help you understand you will never get this out without bathing, conditioning, brushing, and drying your dog. Now we're going to wash Penny's face. I like to use Face Safe shampoo on dogs just to be safe and sure. This is the Tropiclean Spa Facial. It is ideal for around the eyes, the mouth, sensitive areas, but it cleans very well. And I will link it for you guys. I want you to have the same successes as I do as a professional. And you may have noticed already, I am taking my time washing this dog. It is so important. Do not rush the shampoo and condition process. And this leads us to the next step. Now we have to overly rinse all that shampoo off of her. You do not want to leave shampoo in the coat before we move on to the condition. You have to get all the dirt, grime, oils, and product out of her coat first. Hey, now I know what you're thinking. I can read your mind right now. You're thinking, I could never do this at home. Even if I'm preparing my show dog, how do I rinse my dog so well? Because it's very important for the double coated dog to be rinsed. You find yourself a pet wash station close by. Now let's add some magic to this deshed for Penny. Let's condition her coat. You have to condition it, guys. Absolutely. This conditioner is one of my favorites for a deshed because when it's diluted, according to the label, which is 16:1, 16 parts water, 1 part conditioner, it creates more like a rinse. But this stuff is so silky. It gets right in there and it allows, you can feel the hair starting to slide out. It literally makes the shedding hairs slide out of the coat, and we need that help right now. Her undercoat is really packed in there with all the healthy hair. Conditioner adds slip to the coat. That means it allows us to help slide out that undercoat. We need this conditioner. You cannot deshed a dog properly without conditioning first. I bet that got your attention. Wake up, my friend. Yes, I like to add a little more water every now and then just to keep the coat wet, good and wet, as I move around Penny and continue to work that conditioner through her skin and coat. Sometimes by the time I get to the other side of Penny, I've worked so hard on her right side that I may need to add a little more water into the coat before I apply that conditioner. You can feel it helping the product work. Now, when I say the conditioner is working here, I don't mean shampooing and conditioning the dog is all you need to do. Oh no, deshedding happens in the tub and it requires the use of tools. I'm going to show you right now why you can't go for a rake or like this V-rake right away, because the coat has not been worked yet with a slicker brush. So these tools are only going to tug on her skin. We have to slough out the shedded hair while the conditioner's on with a slicker brush first. Let me explain this to you. The slicker brush and its bristles are flexible. So it's flexing, yet it's grabbing the coat. It's flexing on the way out. Our stationary rakes or V-rakes, they're great tools, but they're not called for in this grooming session yet because they are not forgiving and they do not flex. We need flex from the slicker brush to grab and pull the dead coat out. And it's very important for you to remember, when a dog's skin is wet, their skin is much more tender. So do not be aggressive. Let the brush do the work for you. Use the proper brushing technique. Line brushing, holding the hair up while I pull it out with my slicker brush. That is line brushing. You have to hold the hair above the area you're brushing out of the way so that you can get to the skin, but do not be aggressive and poke at the skin. We're doing like a pat and pull. We're just patting it like you pat a dog on the top of their head. We're patting the hair, the coat, and the slicker brush is grabbing the dead coat and sliding it out with ease. But don't get me wrong, this is work. It truly is work, but you have to work it the right way. You have to be patient if you want to properly deshed a dog. So why am I still using the slicker brush here? I have not gone through her completely with a slicker brush yet. I just turned Penny so I can work on this side. I can't go for any other deshedding tools right now until I have gotten the absolute bulk and majority out of her undercoat with the slicker brush first. Look at it here. It is thick in there. You're only going to pull if you use a rake. You're going to pull in that skin. We don't want to do that. We want to encourage the hair that needs to come out to marry up with our slicker brush because it's just going to pull it right out. And after I'm not feeling much resistance of undercoat with my brush, I will go to that rotating teeth comb. I'm going to see how it feels. That's going to tell me if I'm not feeling a lot of resistance. And if I'm not feeling a lot of resistance, that means that I have got the bulk of the undercoat removed from that area. So I take this in sections. Notice I've gone back to the slicker brush because I was only checking an area with my rotating teeth comb to see if I could move on past that, if I'd already done the job in that area. Now I have a lot of undercoat under here, and this is a very sensitive area, so I have to be very delicate with Penny. But my rotating teeth comb has just a little bit of flex in it too, because those teeth rotate. They spin a 360. They're a little forgiving. I would prefer to use the rotating teeth comb in the tub over a regular standard dog grooming comb because the rotating teeth comb is a little flexible too, and I need flexible tools in the tub. You'll also start to notice that the coat lays a little flatter. When that happens, that means you have removed a lot of the undercoat. So I will not go for those rakes yet. It's coming. I'm going to show you when I do use them and why, but I'm not there yet. I have to get 98% of this undercoat out first with the brush. Let me show you exactly what I mean. So here I'm brushing. I'm going to go for that V rake. And it's getting stuck. That means I'm only going to pull. I need that flexibility of my slicker brush here. It's not ready to go for a rake yet. But I do know that with patience and more work with my slicker brush, I'm almost there now. I can feel the brush sliding through and I cannot see the undercoat here anymore. And that's my cue to pick up the deshed rake. Just like my brushing technique, short, quick strokes. If I'm feeling a lot of resistance, then I know there's undercoat in there, and I can either gently hold onto her coat away from the skin so it's not pulling on the skin and pick through it, or I will have to go back to my slicker brush in an area. But this is sliding out what the slicker brush left behind. And if I'm feeling too much resistance or I'm seeing too much undercoat visually, I know I have to go back to the brush in that area. Brushing and raking in the lay of the coat, the way the coat lays off the dog. Why do we brush and rake in the direction the coat lays? Because if there's any undercoat in that hair follicle, you're trying to slide it out in the direction it naturally would come right out. Can you see that her coat is starting to lay flat against her body and it's not puffing out like it was earlier? The reason it was puffing out earlier was undercoat. The rake is now pulling out the remainder that the brush was not really able to get at. If I encounter an area that the rake is pulling, I know I need to go back to the brush and break it apart with the brush. These two tools work great together, but alone, they're not the superpower of the show. Together they are. Now don't forget, this dog is still wearing conditioner, right? We haven't rinsed it off. You need the conditioner to help deshed the dog. That is what allows this undercoat to slide out with ease. Otherwise, it's a battle. It's just a battle to try to get the undercoat out. The conditioner is important. So let's recap. We slicker brush until we have removed most of the undercoat. And we know this because we can feel no resistance with our brush. And once we don't feel resistance with our brush, we can go to the rake, like I'm using here. The rake is going to pull out a little more than what the brush could. And then we can also go back and forth with checking our work with the rotating teeth comb. If the rotating teeth comb is saying, hey, this feels great, I can glide through. If there's a little snag, you can hold on to the hair and just sort of pick it out with the rotating teeth comb. That's the process. Brush, rake, rotating teeth comb. And keep repeating that until you're not feeling resistance with the brush or the rake. You can slide the rotating teeth comb through and the coat lays flat. Look at the difference. Oh boy, you mean we gotta do this side too? Yes, see, I'm showing you right now what the rake will tell you. It's telling me here I need to brush. So you see, deshedding, my friends, truly is a process of techniques, tools, and methods. That's the only way to do it right. And when I say do it right, I mean to actually have gorgeous results, less shedding between grooms. That's right. If you do this process every 6 weeks at most, guys, on a shedding breed, 6 weeks, you will see that it should never become this big of a job. Your dog is a shedding breed and it will always shed, but if you use these tools, techniques, and methods and patience and take the time to do it right, you will not notice so much shedding laying around your house, on your furniture, on you. It will keep the undercoat in check. So we're kind of working around the dog, right? We've done the one side, we've done the back end, and now we're in the front and we're going to move down to her right side. I've slicker brushed this area. I'm running through it with the rake. I'm still getting hair out and the coat is laying flat. So that tells me that I can move on to the next area. How about that massive pile of undercoat? Doesn't that make you feel extremely satisfied? Because it does me. I literally love a deshed. I mean, if I could just do desheds at least one a day, it would make me feel so, oh Penny, don't get spicy, accomplished. If you're a groomer, put a deshed on your schedule at least once a day, because it's a time where you just get to work and feel very much of a reset. It's a satisfying groom because you know how to approach it. You know the results you're going to get. And walking through the whole process is just so gratifying because you did it right and you're getting massive amounts of undercoat out without forcing it out and causing the dog to go into recovery mode, which is the dog's going to produce even more undercoat if we force it out. So we're only taking out what wants to come out. This all wanted to come out. And we said, hey, we hear you. We got you, because we know what we're doing. And it is very satisfying. It is satisfying to the dog too. If you notice your double coated dog is itching and scratching, it's undercoat work that needs done. So how many pounds do you think Penny lost today? I'd say, well, that's wet hair, but I'd say at least a pound. Man, I wish I could go to the hairdresser and lose a pound. Now, don't get too excited. This is the first stage of the groom. Now we got to rinse that conditioner off, and I mean rinse. We are going to thoroughly rinse Penny. We want everything out of the coat because any product left in the coat will cause buildup later. And we already know they've got undercoat. We don't need anything working against our double-coated dogs. So we need to thoroughly rinse. I start from the top and I rinse everything down so gravity moves down. When the water starts to run clear, that's when you know you're almost done rinsing. And I told you earlier that I really love this conditioner for desheds, the Undercoat Control by Coat Handler. I love it for many reasons, but one of the other reasons is it rinses quickly from the coat. That's important to me as a groomer, and it also rinses without leaving residue behind. That means there is nothing but clean, conditioned, healthy skin and coat when it's time for drying. And yes, a well-balanced skin and coat will actually dry faster. A lot of people think conditioner weighs down the coat, slows down the drying process. That's not true. Balanced skin and coat will dry faster than dirty, grimy hair that wasn't properly shampooed or conditioned. When I first started grooming, there was no mention of conditioner, and it was not recommended because they said it's an extra step. It'll weigh down the coat. It makes the coat greasy. That's because conditioners, they weren't good products at the time. We have excellent products nowadays, my friends. And trust me, conditioner is a key player in every groom, not just for our double-coated breeds, for all breeds. I condition every dog, and what a difference it makes in all of my grooming sessions. By the way, if you've made it this far, I can tell you love learning as much as I love teaching. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my free lessons. They're made for people who care about giving their dogs the best grooming experience possible. And go ahead and smash the like button. Thanks. Now we're friends. And I'm going to share with you a great drying secret. Penny's all rinsed. This is an absorber towel. And it has been a game changer for me since I started using them on every groom. But when we're talking about a double coated dog that has a thick undercoat and a thick coat period, these towels absorb so much water out of the coat before we get to the force drying process, which saves us time. Lots of time. There's a link in the description below where you can save 10% off of any order with the absorber towel. I suggest you definitely get a couple of them. They're machine washable. Do not dry them. Wring them out as you're toweling off your dog and then continue on to towel off your dog. They're soft. They feel good. They've just been a game changer for me, and I'm very happy to introduce you to these, especially if you're working with a double coat. Towel drying before we get the dog up on the table is really important to this groom because we want to pull as much water out of her skin and coat as possible before we fire up that force dryer so we can really get to that undercoat. The force dryer is another star player in a de-shed. If you have a double coated dog or a heavy shedding dog, you need to invest in a forced air dryer. I'm going to show you that there is still some loose and already shedded undercoat in Penny's coat right now. The forced air dryer is going to push it out. It is a key player. But first, we're going to brush again. I call this wet brushing. She's out of the tub. We've already done a lot of the de-shed in the tub. But this step, again, is very important. And I am using the Kenchi large slicker brush. This slicker brush is great for double coated breeds. Heavy, thick-coated shedding breeds. The reason is it has shorter bristles and it really grabs into the coat, but not in an aggressive way. It's just the perfect pair for an undercoat, especially at this point when we're out on the table. This brush doesn't have the flex that the tub brush I used has. So this brush is going to be a little bit more like, hey, undercoat, I see you and I'm coming for you, but I'm just a firm and gentle brush. But at this point in the groom, we have really removed most all of the undercoat, but there's still that last 5 to 10% that needs to come out. Quicker Slicker is definitely going to help us with that. Remember how I explained that the conditioner was so important when we were de-shedding in the tub? Well, now that we're back out on the table, I've removed all the excess water from her with my absorber towel. Now I need to add more slip into the coat, and that's with Quicker Slicker. This one I like because I've used it so much and I know that it leaves no residue behind, but it aids so well in the brush out process and with removing undercoat. It is a bit pricey and it can also be kind of hard to find. Not everybody carries it. So I'll try to find a link for you guys, and I will also link a couple of my other favorite brush out sprays that you could use at this point or just during routine brush outs with your dog. I'll link those for you below. Now, do you see why I'm doing this second wet brush? You can see what I'm getting out of her. The Quicker Slicker or brush out spray, a brush out spray is definitely going to help with this process, but there's still a lot of undercoat that's just hanging in there. And if I didn't do this second wet brush out while she's on the table here after she exited the tub, a lot of that could become tangled when I go to the force dryer. So that's why I'm removing it, and I suggest you guys do too. I'll show you in a minute what I mean with the force dryer. But first we're going to clean the ears and clip the nails. You may be asking, but Amy, does it matter when I clean the ears or clip the nails? Well, it does to me, and I'm going to tell you why. After the dog gets out of the tub, there could have possibly been a little bit of water that got in her ears, which if she has healthy ears, it's not going to matter. But I don't know if something's brewing down in those ears. I can't see down in there. So it's important to clean the ears after the bath just to give them that flush in case any water has gotten in there through the bathing process. That's all. Plus, she's still wet. So I don't want to put wet solution on a dry dog, right? So while she's wet, I clean the ears. I only go in as far as I can see, and I love the Bark to Basics ear cleaner. Let's trim the nails. And I always do that after the bath too. Why? Because the nails are less brittle. because they have been moisturized basically in the tub with the shampoo and conditioner and the water. They're not going to be brittle, dry, crack easily, that kind of thing. And lean in on this. Not every nail is going to need trimmed. As you can see, this one, she has it wore down. It is simply because of the way she walks, the way she shifts her weight when she's moving. Some nails are not going to need trimmed. If you're not sure about nail trimming, or if you need a little extra help with nail trimming, I have many videos on my channel that go into deep information up close and personal, how to trim dog nails safely, accurately, regardless of whether they're clear nails or black nails. So I'll link them for you below. It's happy hoodie time. It's happy hoodie. What's a happy hoodie? A happy hoodie gives her a little comfort when we get ready to do that forced air drying. It also protects her hearing. I am using a K9-3 forced air dryer on single speed right now. With forced drying, this is how far you hold the nozzle away from the dog's skin. However long the hair is how far away you hold the nozzle. That's very important. Otherwise, you're going to tangle the hair. And because this is a dog with undercoat, and we know that she still has some undercoat in there, the undercoat could become tangled under the top coat. So, this is important. You want the speed of the dryer to be high enough that when you hold the nozzle as far away from the dog's skin as the dog's hair is long, the speed of the dryer needs to be turned up enough that you can see all the way through to the skin. Just like this. You want to see that forced dryer below the hair out of the way far enough that you see to the skin. And the reason that's very important is because we are using this forced dryer to continue to blow the remaining undercoat out of this dog's coat. We can't just willy-nilly go over her with this forced dryer. It is strategic, guys. This forced dryer is playing a key role in the deshed of this dog. So, again, keep the nozzle as far away from the skin as the hair is long, and turn the air up enough that you can see a straight hole shot right into the skin. When you follow these instructions with forced drying, you won't tangle the coat, you will get accurate drying, but most of all on a double coat, you're going to blow out the rest of the remaining undercoat without tangling it back into the hair. Very important. This is the method. So you learned something today. And that rule goes for not just double-coated dogs. Any dog you use a forced dryer on, this is the method. That is the method that you must remember. Now, I already know what your next question is. How dry does the dog need to be? 100% dry, especially on a deshed. Now, I shouldn't say especially, on any dog breed that you are preparing for clipper work or scissor work. In this case, this is a deshed. A deshed can't completely happen unless the dog is 100% dry, no moisture in that coat. And I will be going back over her after I force dry her with a stand dryer, a heated dryer, to pull out the moisture. Speaking of warm dryers, I have just traded in my $800 stand dryer for this awesome neck dryer that is $200. And if you shop it with my link, you'll get a discount. This dryer can take the place of a stand dryer, and I proved it in a video. Now let's get back to Penny. I cannot 100% deshed this dog without having her coat 100% dry. Why? Because any dampness or moisture in the coat, undercoat that may still be in the coat, will cling to it. It has to be bone dry for the forced air dryer to completely blow out all the undercoat. Now let's get that stand dryer warmed up. Penny is not going to tolerate the forced dryer around her ears or her face, and most dogs don't. Sometimes you can turn it way down low, but this particular dryer only has a low and a high speed, and even the low speed's pretty powerful. I have already kicked up the forced dryer to high. The stand dryer is going to come in handy here to help me dry the ears around her ruff and her face. These are areas she's not going to tolerate a stand dryer, and that's okay. That's why we have other dryer sources. But you'll notice that I picked up that V-rake. Remember I showed it to you? I used it a little bit in the tub, but it's very handy here. At this point, in the deshed process with Penny. She is 98% dry on her body, really. You know, we're drying her head, so we're not there yet on the head, but with her being 98% dry, anything that's left in there, and you can see it, we can just flick it out with the V-rake. You could also use a pin brush, and sometimes I do. I just like how easy to handle this little V-rake is. You can be so accurate with, you know, getting in there and pulling out any remaining undercoat that you see just hanging in the top coat. And it literally is just hanging there. We're flicking it out with this V-rake. So it's a very handy tool, inexpensive tool, and it's nice to have around. So if you want the V-rake, it'll be linked below. It's great for helping out with our double coated breeds. So you're thinking, what am I doing at this point? She looks dry, right? Well, she is mostly dry for the most part, but I just keep slowly taking my time, working around her, using the force dryer to separate the hair so I can see the skin, so I can see any undercoat that's still stuck in and intertwined with other coat, and gently just picking it out. At this point, it just wants to fall right out. We've conditioned her, she's bathed. We've used quicker slicker, which is helping us a lot in the drying process to brush through this. I am just at this point making her coat absolutely perfect. It is going to bounce like a cloud when she walks. The undercoat that's in this coat at this point is good undercoat. It's undercoat that she needs. Their undercoat has a purpose. It's like the oil filter in your engine, right? Well, it's filtering her skin. It also helps regulate her body temperature, which is another reason why it's very important not to use harsh deshedding tools. Tools that can cut through the coat. Tools that can pull good undercoat out. She needs her undercoat. So now you see I've gone back to my Kenchi large slicker brush, because now I'm kind of fluffing around her head, around her ears as that stand dryer's on her. But I'm also going through and I'm checking everything and brushing. I'm still going to get hair in the brush. She's a double coated dog and it's never going to stop. As you can see, you know, that's normal. All these tools are pulling only what's ready to come out. Knowing when to switch between tools, the V-rake, the comb, the slicker brush, is very important. You see, I went back to the slicker brush, which is what I started with, and now I'm really just finishing off what needs to come out. Because her coat is dry, the slicker brush can now say, all right, whatever's in there wants to come out, ready or not, here you come. The last thing I'd like to do is the slicker brush after she's dry, just to pull that last bit out, because remember, it does grab a hold of the coat. If you're wondering why you brush your dog every day, your double coated dog every day, even a Sheltie, obviously, they have a lot of undercoat. You're wondering why, when I brush her all the time, does she still shed so much all over me, all over my house? Well, first of all, she is a shedding breed, so she will always shed. I do want you to understand, if you pay attention to how I am de-shedding this dog safely, meaning I'm not going to cause her to produce more undercoat because I'm removing so much of her undercoat. The methods I'm using here, this is very important, guys. Bring it in. Get close. The methods I'm using here will only take out what has already shed or is just ready to release. That is the only thing that's going to come out. So this is the healthiest deshed you can get. But the key to it is the bath and the condition and the blow dry. That loosens everything up. As you saw, I got the majority of the undercoat out in the tub. Now you ready for a close look at that line brushing I was talking about? See how I'm holding her hair up? I'm pulling it out with my brush, moving my hand above it slowly. That's line brushing. Now we're going to grab our comb. We're going to check and see, does the comb go through it? No, well, it's snagging. That means there's something that needs brushed out there. Your comb is just to check your work during the deshed. We have another use for it later, so stay put. I have my Joy Z Hornet 5-in-1 clipper set to a number 10. Number 10 blade only here, guys. And I know there's some mats back here, so I'm carefully separating the hair so I can see right to the skin. And I'm going to position the blade of my clipper between the skin and the mat, and it's just going to fall right out. Same thing behind her other ear. She has a couple little mats in here. Between the skin and the mat, and just a little bit of pressure, lifting up with your clipper, it's going to come right out. Now I'm going to shave just right around her anus. Mom's complaining. She's getting a lot of poop stuck here, so we don't want like that, I am just going away from her anus in all 4 directions, only about 1/4 of an inch past her anus, just to open that up. We would not do this on a show dog. Switching to a 15 or a 30 blade, I'm going to gently clean out in the V shape here, the pads of her feet. Gently, just pull back with your clipper to open up that V, and in a V shape, shave the pad nice and clean. Keeps their feet clean. We're going to do the same thing on all 4 of her feet. Work your way around the dog. I want you to remember to do all your clipper work at the same time. This is the way I would handle any full groom as well, guys. I do all my clipper work first, and then I go to the scissor work. That's how you stay on track when you're grooming. This is the last bit of clipper work that I'm going to do with Penny, is the pads of feet, and then we're moving on to scissor finishing work. Do all your clipper work first. Put your clippers down, you're done with them, right? It keeps you on track. And here's another fun little tip that you might want to write in your notes. The 30 blade is what I'm using in the pads of her feet. I don't want to use a 30 blade anywhere else on this dog. It would cause skin irritation. So I save that for the last thing. That way I don't accidentally trim around her hiney or shave mats out of her ears with a 30 blade. The pads of feet are tougher. The skin is tougher. So I can use a 30 in here without causing irritation. It's time for the fun stuff. My favorite part, scissor work. I'm going to use anti-static spray. You're going to see me using that. The Love Chunker shear, and I'm going to use my Sapphire 8-inch curved, and I'm going to use my 52 tooth blender. That is my Sapphire shear made by Amy Leigh. But we got to check our coat with our comb. Before we do any scissor work, am I able to get a comb through this coat? Everywhere. If I can't, then the coat needs more brushing and it's not ready for scissor work. I am definitely going through this, no pun intended, with a fine-tooth comb to make sure she's ready for scissor work. And the coat is perfect. It's ready. I'm going to grab my pen brush now. This is key for a double-coated dog that I will be doing scissor work on. The pen brush helps me guide the hair to all lay flat off the dog like it is supposed to. I'm really just laying the hair in the position that I want it with the pen brush. You can see how it's taming the coat. Now, show dog people, don't look. This is something you would not do on a show dog. Find the hock bone and where the tail bone is. We are going to create a whole underline on this dog, and we're going to get her tail off the floor. This is preferred in a pet trim. You don't have to do it. Carefully feel where that tailbone is. Find it, know where it is, hold on to it. Pull the tail down to the hock, protecting the tailbone, and trim it to the hock. This is going to shape right into our underline, and it's going to look symmetrical. It's going to balance the underline. Every time you trim something off of your dog, brush it out. Get all the little particles of hair out. They can cause tangles. Brush out her tail really good, but now I'm going to use those blending shears, and I'm going to soften that look. Just along the edge, along the outline of what I trimmed. Hold the tail straight out, know where the tailbone is so that you don't come anywhere near it with a shear, and just soften that outline. You can opt out of trimming the tail or leave it up to the client, but my clients like it because it's clean. Now here's the part you've probably been waiting for. A lot of people struggle with scissoring the pants. Before I do that, I'm just going to use my blending shears and tidy up right there where I opened up for her to go to the bathroom. And this is a pet trim, meaning we need to keep her clean, hygienic, and comfortable between grooming appointments. So that's why we're tidying up right here around where she goes to the bathroom, so that that stays clean when she's laying in your bed or laying on your couch or sitting on your lap. But this is also an area that a lot of pet groomers struggle with. They're like, do I just take my guard comb in here and whack that stuff off? No, because it isn't going to look nice. It's going to look choppy. It's not going to blend. We need to create a shape. So we're shaping up from her anus to under her tail so it doesn't collect BM. Then we're shaping out from under the anus into the pants. Don't forget to use that Kenchi pen brush to remove those clippings. Now you're really going to learn something. Before we scissor the pants, we have to create the whole shape, the underline, how this is all going to tie together. So I'm going to scissor my underline, which is just a little fringes below her elbow, and then I'm going to come up towards her last rib, pretty much. Create a little angulation. And this is the starting point. This is going to tell us what we're scissoring the pants to, the shape of the pants, as well as the chest. Focusing on the underline right now. The underline of the chest, the underline of the belly, and then how that feeds into the pants and then into the chest. Now we have to tame the side of the leg here so that this creates part of our shape that works its way around to the back of the dog, to create those pants. We can't leave all this wild stuff on the side either, so we have to kind of outline our shape, which is what I'm doing, and then my blending shears are definitely the magic trick here because they're going to create a natural shape instead of look so scissored. So I outlined it with my curved shears, which is not forgiving, as you saw. But now I'm refining that shape that I outlined with my curved shear with blending shears. And that got us started, right? So now I continue that. Curved shear, outlining, then to the blending shear, refining, and back and forth. So we're creating the shape, outlining the shape, with our straight or curved shear, and then we're coming in with our soft blender. This is a soft blender. It's not an aggressive blender, so it blends so naturally. You don't see scissor marks with this blending shear. By the way, these are my signature shears made by Kenchi. This is the Sapphire by Amy Leigh Kenchi shears, and they are linked below. And I made them for us with comfort, precision, and affordability in mind. So notice that I am only working on the left cheek, the left side of the pants. Why is that? I am mastering that side first. And then I have to go to the other side and match the underline to the underline that I set on the left side. And then the same procedure we followed on the left side of the dog. We are going to match everything from the left side of the dog to the right side. The underline, the side of the leg, into the pants. Now that I've refined that left side, I know exactly what I have to match it to on the right side. And that includes the right cheek. And even the tail. Now, because this is a pet trim and I wanted to keep Penny cleaner, we are tying the length of the tail into the cheek, which then flows into the underline, which then flows into the shape of the chest. So I hope this is making sense for you guys when you shape and outline your double-coated dogs. Now, obviously, we don't really do a lot of clipper work. This is mostly scissor work because we want the trim to look natural. We want it to look tidy, but still natural. We don't want to take away from the natural silhouette of the dog. We want to emphasize it and make it look a little better, make it look sharper, stand out. And another point I want to make here, guys, is without me preparing her coat so well before I picked up a shear, this scissor work, this type of precision could never happen. Her coat had to be perfectly deshed, perfectly straightened out through the drying process, combing, brushing. This scissor work and this refinement that I'm working here could never have happened. And now that I have the shape about where I want it, I can come in here with chunker shears. Now, they're not for everybody. I'd say chunker shears are definitely more for the intermediate to expert groomer because it's all about the angle, too, that you're using them. And you can't use these on every coat because you will see every scissor mark. This is an aggressive shear, the chunker shear. But you notice I did quickly go back to my soft blender. I just went in there with my chunker shear to really bulk off an area so I can refine it a lot nicer and more precise with my soft blending shear. And two, I'm using that pen brush a lot back here to brush out all the clippings as I'm scissoring. I don't want that hanging in her coat. Keeping the coat clean, your table clean throughout the process is important. Another thing that's going to help my accuracy with scissor work is anti-static spray. And I do love this one here from Bark to Basics. It's so affordable. I've linked it for you below. Everything I'm using, guys, is linked below. But the anti-static spray is lightweight, but yet it holds the hair in place without like gluing it. You know, it's not a hairspray. It is just anti-static. It takes the flyaways out of the coat so that they stay in place and you can scissor accurately. It's a great little helper with scissor work on any breed. Now we're going to swing that chest into the shape of the underline of the dog, starting from the pants to the underline right up into the chest. Do you see how important it is to balance all these areas together so that we have an overall balanced looking trim, correct? And I want you to notice that sometimes I am only just taking off a little here and a little there, and I'm not taking off the roundness of the shape. So it is very important that you're strategic about what you clip off. And you don't just say, well, I will just completely outline this shape, because you may be taking hair off that you shouldn't, that's going to take away from the shape you're going for. So you want to continue that shape. And here, keeping the roundness into the ruff, that's important. I'm only taking off what I need to. And that's going to go for the legs too. They can be tricky. There's a lot of hair here on these legs. And your golden retrievers, your Bernese mountain dogs, you'll find this too. But you really just want that hair to kind of lay down in the back and shape it into the foot. On the side of the leg, if it's bulky, if you're looking at the dog head on and it's bulky, you want to tame it down to the side of her front leg. You're just doing a lot of refining and continuing to flow shapes into one another, especially with a trim like this, guys. One of the most tricky parts for me on this trim is this right here, where we are swinging that underline up between her legs and into the chest. You really got to get yourself down on eye level with those scissors so you can continue that line. Pick the leg up as little as possible, because that'll change the shape of her underline. So here I'm just kind of blending under her armpit and thinning that out, but for the most part, you want to keep the leg down when you're outlining with your straight shears, so that you are sure that that line coming under between her two front legs and into the chest is a definite continuation from the underline. And it's tough. This is a tricky one for me. And then I will pick those legs up and just sort of thin out what's on the inside of her leg. With my blending shear. My blending shear is a good choice. Remember, the straight shear sets your hard outline, and your blending shear is going to soften everything that you outlined with your straight shear or your curved shear. The angle that you position yourself to the dog and the angle that you scissor from is so important. Change those angles periodically to look at it from the different angles. Like right now, we are looking at her legs from head on, and you could see how bulky they were on the outside of the legs. That tells me exactly what I need to scissor and blend and refine here to make the shape look nicer. So I like to swing that side around to the back before I really do trim the back of the front leg. And it's hard to comprehend all this from a video, guys. What really does it is when you just keep experiencing these grooms, you will teach yourself lessons, and you'll have light bulb moments. I remember Amy said that in a video. It didn't even make sense to me when she was saying it, but now that I'm putting these practices into play on a real dog, things are coming together for me. You are going to notice that you can't just study dog grooming and not really do it to get it. You have to do dog grooming and study it to get it. So don't be so hard on yourselves. We've all struggled. You learn your own lessons. You learn, oh, look what I did here. I see what I should have done. Now it's making sense. When you do make the mistakes, if you feel like the trim is unbalanced, you really study it afterwards. You take pictures of your grooms afterwards so you can look at it and be the judge of it. Because you will see what you could have done differently or should have done. And the next time you go to groom that dog and you push play, you'll be ready. You'll have a more strategic plan from mistakes. That's how we all learn. Are you watching how I'm gently lifting the coat and trimming it over my comb? I'm lifting it with my comb and then combing it into place and taking a look. Now, tying these ears in with the trim is a little tricky. You don't want to overdo it here. Let me remind you. So you can see I comb out everything forward. See, how is this laying? When she shakes her head, how's it going to lay? How's her hair going to lay? And that's kind of what I'm simulating here. Above her ear, she has a lot of extra bulk that doesn't need to be here. So I'm just going to protect it with my hand between her ear and the hair I'm trimming and just lightly trim it off. You make a snip, moving your shears up and off the coat so it blends. I don't know how else to explain that. I try so hard to be explanatory for you guys because I know details matter so much in the explanations. Some things are hard for me to explain, and I think what I want you to do more than anything is, if this is an area here with her ears that you struggle with, say, I want you to just keep going back and watching it. Watch what I'm doing. Watch what my other hand is doing. That is very important. My other hand is often assisting in the groom, moving the ear up so the hair pops out the way it would. If this is an area you struggle with, which it is for a lot of people, turn the sound off and go back and watch it 10 times in a row, this area. I think the visual is going to be more explanatory than anything, and always watch what my other hand is doing. If you don't do that, you're missing out, guys. My other hand is always assisting in what I'm trimming. And something else that's very important for me to remind you guys of, notice I use my comb to comb and position the hair in the right place, or comb the hair in the right place before I pick up my shear. Every time I set my shear down after I make some adjustments, I grab my comb and I refine the coat by putting it back into place with my comb, combing all the way through from the skin out so the hair lays where it is naturally supposed to lay. That's how you get accuracy too. If you're not using your comb, every time you make a snip, put your scissors down, grab your comb, pick your scissors up, make your cuts, put your scissors down, grab your comb. Watch how often I do that throughout this video. That is on every single groom with any dog. You will notice that. And that's another thing that is going to give you beautiful scissor work. And after I've gone around the entire dog about twice, I'm continuing to dial in my scissor work to refine the shape. And last, we're on feet. Keep the foot on the table. Don't pick it up. There's no reason to pick it up when you're scissoring the outline of the foot. You could nick the pads. The only time I pick up the foot is when I brush up the hair, the Grinch feet, let's call them. I brush that up on the top of the foot, and then I hold the foot very steady, and I just scissor that off into the shape of the foot with my blending shear. But when you're scissoring feet, the shape of the foot, the outline, keep the foot on the table. If your dog wants to pick their foot up and move, gently pick up the opposite foot so they have to keep that foot on the table so you can be accurate in your scissor work. When your shears are on the table, make sure they are closed and not open. Your dog could step on it and cut their foot. These are safety things to keep in mind when you're working with an animal. Here at the back, these little soft tufts on the back of the hock, use your comb it up, and just blend it into the shape you want. There's so much blending and creating a shape in this trim that needs to happen. If you need to practice, draw on paper. Draw the silhouette of the dog and the hair. Draw what you plan to scissor so you have a visual idea setting yourself up before you get to it with the dog, so you have an idea of what you want to do. There's been so many tips packed into this one video, and man, I know it's a long one. It is. I was debating to break it into 2 videos or keep it as one long masterclass. I typically don't put videos this long on my channel. I try to keep the learning happening quick, but I felt like with this groom, as I was editing it, after I got the footage, I was like, you know what? I just really need to take my time. There's so much information involved in this trim, and you can apply this to a Pomeranian, a Golden Retriever, a Samoyed, Keeshond. There's so many dogs, guys. You could use this particular trim and these deshedding methods and techniques on any double-coated dog, guys, and I hope you do. I hope you use this video heavily as a reference for all those breeds. But I definitely did not want to break this into 2 videos. I felt like it is actually a master class, and I wish this kind of stuff was available to me when I was learning to groom dogs, because I kind of had to learn a lot of things through trial and error, through experience. obviously an extended education. I would buy DVDs on specific trims from some of my favorite groomers and icons in the industry to learn specific tricks and success tips for grooming different breeds. So I am going to keep this as a very long video on my channel. I just think that it's going to be one that you guys are going to refer back to, and I hope you love it. I loved creating it. I want to thank my friend Tracy, who took all the footage for me. This is her salon. This is one of her clients. I've never groomed Penny before, by the way. This is her client pet, and she allowed me to do this double coat, deshed, and trim for you guys today. So thank you, Tracy. Hey, guys, leave a comment. Tell her thanks. And hey, if you enjoyed the view of this video from her angle and the camera's lens, leave a comment. Let's beg her to come back and do more filming for us. And a big thank you to Penny. Thank you, Penny, for helping us learn all the things about a beautiful double coat. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.